Welcome to the Anisumo channel. You're about to watch the final part of the summary of a horror comedy anime called Call of the Night. If you haven't seen the previous part, the link is in the description and pinned comment. But if you already have, let's go. At the end of the last episode, the protagonist, Yamoriko, has his dream of becoming a vampire shaken by recent events, and he's feeling pretty down. He's at home, sulking about what the detective told him. It seems his friend also went to see her at her office, but that's all we're shown for now. Could it be that the woman Ko's been seeing at night is also a vampire? Ko decides to go talk to Nazuna, who greets him at the door asking to suck his blood. He agrees, but when she hugs him and says she's starving, he remembers what happened and pushes her away. He tries to apologize, saying it was unintentional, but the mood has already shifted. Nazuna senses something's wrong and asks him to tell her what happened. After hearing a brief version of the story, Nazuna concludes that the vampire must have been starving to attack them like that. Ko asks if the same thing could happen to her, since she just said she was starving too, but she assures him, quite seriously, that he doesn't have to worry about that. They go for a walk and talk more about what happened. Nazuna explains that she heard vampires die if they go 10 years without drinking blood. When Ko tells her about the detective who's opposing his transformation into a vampire, Nazuna asks if he's changed his mind. He says no, but he's worried. The detective knows how to kill vampires. He doesn't want Nazuna to get hurt because of him, and he's also scared for his friends. He apologizes and asks Nazuna to drink his blood. Now that he understands his fear, he feels calm knowing what he's feeling. For some reason, Nazuna wants to visit Ko's house. He makes sure no one's home and invites her in. He explains that his mom works away from home and his dad doesn't live with them because they are divorced. Nazuna starts snooping around his room looking for something suspicious, but finds nothing except a tissue Ko swears he only used to blow his nose. After teasing him a bit, she confronts him, saying she knows he's having doubts about becoming a vampire. She can read a bit of his thoughts when she drinks his blood. She says it's normal to feel unsure after everything that's happened, that any normal person would have given up by now. Ko responds that the reason he wanted to become a vampire was the night. The night is just more fun, even though he's learned it's not just fun. It was fine at first, but putting others in danger is a different story. He jokes that Nazuna isn't in a big rush to reproduce with him anyway, but cuts himself off when he sees her expression. Nazuna says she'll help him with his indecision. She asks why he finds the night so fun. He says it's because of the freedom, but she corrects him, saying it's because the night isn't part of his routine. He was bored of school and his daytime activities, and the night offered the exact opposite. No school, empty streets. It felt exhilarating that first night. But is he still as hyped now as he was then? She tells him that anything outside the routine doesn't last, not even for long. Being a vampire is just pure boredom. She apologizes for lying. She says she became a vampire decades ago, and for an immortal like her, time drags. Every empty day of her own life, she was just waiting for some tiny miracle to break the boredom. She gets up, saying she's leaving, but Ko still wants to talk. He stares at her, and she asks what's wrong. As he prepares to apologize for tripping and leaning for a kiss, she whispers in his ear, "Did you think I was going to kiss you?" After teasing him, she jumps out the window, leaving him stunned. The next night, Ko calls the detective and waits to meet her. She misreads things again, thinking he wants to date her. Though embarrassed at first, she gets irritated when Ko questions her. She tells him he should enjoy spending the night with her. But moving on, they start talking about vampires. The detective gives a full display of her skills, overwhelming Ko with tons of personal information about him, his age, websites he visits, even pictures he downloads in secret. When Ko asks why she's against him becoming a vampire, she acts like the answer is obvious. Vampires are evil. They trick humans to drink their blood or starve themselves out of guilt and eventually snap, like what happened at school. She asks Ko, which one does he plan to become? Before he can respond, she keeps going. She says he hasn't even fallen in love yet, even with all the time spent with Nazuna. Oh yes, she knows about Nazuna. Even her address. She says Ko probably can't become a vampire because he's likely a romantic. Someone who doesn't fall in love, no matter the situation. This clearly bothers Ko. Sensing she's winning, the detective doubles down, saying it's not enough for him to just stay human. Now that he knows about vampires, they won't let him live, and the vampire who brought him into this might get killed too. Ko says he doesn't want that to happen. So she tells him to decide. He can stay human or become a vampire and be killed by her. She says she's willing to do anything to please him if he chooses to stay human. Ko points out that he'd still be killed by vampires either way, but she reassures him by saying she'll kill all the vampires. Ko backs off, saying vampires aren't as evil as she claims. They have feelings, they respect humans, and they have their own struggles. The detective says she doesn't want to take away his precious freedom, but it's safer to take the easy path. Then she makes a phone call. She says there's been a teenager wandering around alone at night lately. She asks if that's normal, acting like a concerned citizen. Quick explanation: in Japan, minors aren't allowed out without an adult after 10 p.m. It's not exactly a crime, but police take this kind of report seriously. Ko, hearing that call, panics and runs to hide. He's terrified of being labeled a criminal, or worse, losing his freedom to enjoy the night. He manages to shake off the police by hiding in a playground slide. He's thinking about going to Nazuna's place but is scared of causing her more trouble when suddenly, another vampire appears, Hotsuka-san. She invites him over to her place. When they arrive, a bunch of crazy people rush, saying they cleaned the house and did all sorts of chores. But she doesn't pay them any mind and tells them to leave because she's having a guest over. They seem a little upset but quickly comply. Ko is completely lost. Who were those people? Why does she only have one seat in the living room? He thinks this vampire is particularly strange, even compared to the others he's met so far. She breaks his train of thought, saying she forgot a towel.
悪いんだけど、持ってきてくれない?
Well, actually, she was a he, a male vampire. After bringing the towel, Ko is visibly shocked and even asks just to be sure, "So, you're a guy?" He confirms, adding that he was surprised Ko didn't know yet. He figured Nazuna had already told him. He uses the moment to vent, saying Nazuna never tells him anything. The scene shifts to Nazuna finishing up a conversation, saying that Ko isn't going to become a vampire anymore. She also asks the others to go easy on him and not kill him over it, and demands Nazuna explain what makes Ko so special, otherwise she'll go after him and end this once and for all. Back at Hotsuka-san's apartment, he's stunned by Ko's revelation that he doesn't want to become a vampire anymore. Ko tries to explain his reasoning, telling him about the vampire hunting detective. He suspects she let him drink her blood on purpose so she could kill him. The vampire even said his blood tasted awful. Hotsuka reflects on it and admits he's not sure about anything either. Vampires don't understand much about themselves, just like humans don't fully understand humans. Oh, did you catch something strange in that scene? Yep, his reflection doesn't show up. Interesting. Hotsuka also mentions that even Nazuna probably doesn't know why some blood tastes better than others. Speaking of which, there's a rumor that Ko's blood is especially delicious, right? He moves closer to Ko, saying he owes him for helping him hide from the police. Ko protests, but Hotsuka tells him not to worry, he looks like a girl, so it's all good. Yamori asks why Hotsuka dresses like a woman in the first place, and he explains it's because he looks prettier that way. And for some reason, both men and women are drawn to him when he presents like this. In the middle of this, the vampire's phone rings. Nazuna could really be in danger. Ko tries to get up but is pushed back into the armchair. Hotsuka makes an indecent proposal, suggesting Ko turn into a vampire through him instead of Nazuna. He points out that Yamori is 14 years old and hasn't developed any feelings during all this time with Nazuna. As a man himself, Hotsuka says he understands better than a female vampire what a guy needs to fall in love. Ko still doesn't like the idea, but when Hotsuka asks if it's because he's a man, Ko says that's not the problem. Hotsuka's face is pretty and everything. Wow, that actually catches Hotsuka off guard. He blushes and gets flustered. Ko starts a bit of an inner monologue, wondering if maybe he should go through with it just to save Nazuna. He admits that men and women will probably never fully understand each other, but wait, who's to say he'd even fall in love right now, just like that? He asks, and Hotsuka says it's actually quite simple. Unlike other female vampires who seduce their prey, he uses hypnotic powers, basically brainwashing them. That's why his offspring always look so happy. Falling in love is basically a kind of brainwashing anyway, right? Yamori immediately rejects the offer. He says the misunderstandings between him and Nazuna have nothing to do with gender. He's never understood anyone in his life, it's not just a woman thing. He doubts he'll ever understand Nazuna, or Hotsuka, for that matter. And since it's not a gender issue, he adds, even if Hotsuka were a woman, he'd still want to fall in love with Nazuna. With that heartfelt speech, he thanks Hotsuka for the help and leaves. He runs toward the building, determined to make Nazuna's nights a little less boring. When he gets there, Nico tells him he's too late. Nazuna's already gone and probably won't even be able to speak for a while. Heavy consequences were paid to ensure his safety. Ko turns to leave, saying he'll go look for her. Nico tries to stop him, saying Nazuna doesn't want to see him right now. Yamori responds, with more anger than he's ever felt in his life, telling her to shut up. That he's the one who wants to see her, leaving everyone speechless. But, oh no, he forgot about the police. Now he's about to get arrested. He starts talking to Nazuna inside his head, saying that nighttime isn't all fun and games, there are terrifying moments too. But why is that? Even though he's genuinely scared, there's still something kind of fun about it. He manages to escape, and his mental conversation with Nazuna continues. He tells her about all the cool things they've seen together. But wait, who's that? Could she be a super powerful vampire over 500 years old? Guess we'll have to wait to find out. Meanwhile, on the other side of this internal monologue, Nazuna is wondering if Ko is mad at her. But wait, here comes a repeat of the very first scene from episode 1. Ko says he's been looking all over for her. But hold on, isn't she hurt? She says no, but the other vampire said, oh, she's explaining to Hotsuka that violence doesn't work on Nazuna, and she herself hates aggression. It turns out Nazuna's punishment was to confess her feelings for Ko. That's why she was so embarrassed, to the point where she couldn't even speak properly. Nazuna starts walking away, saying it's all over now. Ko tries to tell her that before he met her, he was also always bored. He asks if she didn't enjoy spending these past few nights with him. She says that's obvious. She had so much fun she forgot she'd been bored for ages. That's why, she says, she needs to be brave and tell him that, but he cuts her off. He says it's okay. If they enjoy spending time together, they just need to keep finding more and more fun things to do so they'll never get bored again. He promises to fall in love with her, so she'll stay with him, because he's never going to let her feel bored again. Realizing what he just said, he apologizes and gets all flustered, but mostly because he knows she doesn't know how to handle these kinds of conversations. In the end, Nazuna still can't bring herself to tell him how she feels. But in her mind, she makes a promise to become a vampire worthy of being loved by him. And after the kiss, she says, we're in this together, you and me. And that's how the first season of this anime ends. Luckily, season 2 is already out, so don't forget to subscribe to catch the next episodes. Bye.